Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. Ours is a place where dreams take flight, voices are heard, and stories are shared. This is where cultures meet, connections are formed, and ideas are transformed into action. This is your destination for authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations. We're where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover our world of education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our USA Global TV channel and download our USA Global TV app. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. With heartfelt thanks to our executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, music scored by Yifei Tang from Cloud Road Music, creative direction by Paul Garcia, and I'm Al Cini, and I'm very proud to be part of the USA Global TV and Radio family. So join us here at USA Global TV and Radio. Make us your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Thank you for being a part of our global community. Let's inspire together.
Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, home of the YouTube Silver Creator Award for surpassing 100,000 subscribers. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and our show today is A Woman's Prerogative. We want to welcome all of our fans across the world, and of course, also everyone at E360 TV. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Today, we're going to be talking about the box. Getting out of that box, getting out of our own way, maybe doing something different, maybe talking about what's keeping us in the box. Joining me is the star of our show, formerly from New Zealand and now in Australia. Her name is Mariska du Preez, and she is a certified coach. Unlike so many out there on LinkedIn, solicitations we receive from coaches who have absolutely no certifications whatsoever, she has an arm's length full. We're going to find out about them. She's also an author, and she's a transformation leadership wizard. She's one of our Talking Heads expert presenters, and she's here now joining us in tomorrow for us today. Let's welcome her to the show. Hello.
I love that. Yes, it is indeed tomorrow for you today. So being a little bit in the future, I am on Friday and not Thursday, which means my weekend is a lot closer.
It just really amazes me every time when I see you, and I just think how cool that is. And having traveled not to Australia or New Zealand, would love to at some point, but knowing when I was in Europe, first, in the UK, it's 5 hours ahead. And then when I was in Paris and Vienna, it's 6 hours ahead. So I always think to myself in the morning, I'm thinking, oh, my friends over here are 6 hours ahead, or I have friends and family in Hawaii, they're 6 hours behind, and you're a whole day ahead. It's just so cool.
It is. I always find it interesting to find out where it is that people find themselves and how they are experiencing the environment, because some people move quite a bit and travel and do all the fun things, and some people don't. They just sort of stay in one space. They are homebodies, and that's fine too, because it gives me the experience, especially like we are doing things online, to experience vicariously through you.
Absolutely. Well, I think the thing that's really cool about the whole Zoom and StreamYard and all these things is that we have opportunities to create and collaborate like we never would if we actually had to get on a plane. And then after you are working with someone virtually and you go and you meet them in person, it is a very cool experience. It truly is. So it's absolutely a blessing. And I think that's part of getting out of the box. I think there are so many times when we have rules that we have to follow. And some people are very good rule abiders. And I found myself growing up, if I was going to cut across someone's lawn instead of take the the sidewalk all the way around and then up the driveway. I still take the sidewalk and go up the driveway. So in that kind of way, you see people who just cut across someone's lawn and go up to the front door. So there's all different ways to follow rules, but to me, that's kind of being in the box. But of course, I know that the understanding of being in the box could be a lot more elaborate. So before we dive into it, let's talk about what you're doing. I mentioned about the fact that there are many coaches out there who are not certified. You absolutely are certified. How do I know? Well, that's how I met you. We were both getting our certification as life coaches. And by the way, I've always wondered, holistic life, career, and executive coach. I never really understood what that meant, but tell us about your certifications. And if you can elaborate on holistic in terms of coaching, that would be kind of cool.
Let's start with holistic. Well, I don't know about you, Dr. Jacalyn, but I find it really difficult to take my emotional states and put it in a little bottle, put it in the cupboard, and forget about it for the work day, and then come back and take it out and put it back into myself. So that's part of the holistic, right? We don't chop pieces of ourselves off as we go through our day. We preferably want to be bringing our whole self. And within the coaching approach, it's really around looking at the whole human being. One of the things that we also find within the coaching space is if we have a tendency to have certain behaviors or certain traits that we exhibit in one area of life, the likelihood is really good that it might show up in other areas of life too. So again, holistic. So that's what we mean by holistic, the whole human, your mind, your body, your feelings, your whole life. It's not that we necessarily discuss all of it during a coaching conversation, in the sense that we dive into your personal relationships as well as your work relationships, but there might be some correlations within those relationships. And by changing the way that we show up, we change the way that our relationships function in our life. So thinking about the very long list, thank you, Dr. Jacalyn, of credentialing and certification that I went through. So what that basically means within the coaching space, it is unregulated. Because it is unregulated, we need to find a way that resonates with us as human beings to keep ourselves to account. And one of the ways of doing that is there's certain bodies within the coaching space that you can become part of, and they have certifications that they apply to the specific space. One of them is ICF. So ICF is the International Coach Federation, and my certification is specifically with them. So I am a PCC credentialed coach with the ICF. And that means that I have a certain amount of training hours. I also have a certain amount of physical coaching hours where I work with clients, as well as mentoring that I had to go through. And we also have a fun test that we need to write to test whether we actually know what we're talking about. So that's what the certification entails. And that was important to me because coming from an engineering background that is very well regulated, I wanted something that feels like it has some substance to it. So that's why I decided to do this and not be like a man and his dog that may or may not be coaching the way that they are supposed to, and have had very little training within that space. So it is an art form. It takes a lot of time and effort to actually get our coaching skills developed in order for us to stand within that coaching space. So that's a little bit around that. And I work with leaders. So whether you are new in leadership and stepping into leadership, or whether you are already a leader and you're stepping up within your leadership space, both places is where I operate, and working around bringing more of your humanness, your holistic self, into your space in order for your team to also be able to do the same. And of course, one of the very other Things that I do is also team coaching. So not only individual coaching, but also looking at the team dynamics, how that works, how we interact with each other. Very fascinating space. And with that, Dr. Jacalyn, it feels like I've talked way too long. So let's jump into this.
Absolutely. So for those of you just joining, our topic is thinking beyond limits, how and when to step outside the box. So I feel for me that I was in the box for a long time. In fact, we used to call my dad Jack in the Box. His name was Jack. And he would stay in the house a lot. He was doing a lot of research on the stock market and other things. But I feel like since I think the pandemic, I really feel like I'm out of the box a lot, very often, because I'm very curious and I want to learn. And the other night, I was doing some training online, and there were people from all over the world, and they ended up putting us into breakout rooms. And I was in this breakout room with this young woman, and she was in Thailand, and she actually is a student. And so the topic was about stress, managing stress and anxiety. And she described her life, and she's very stressed out. And I kind of went into coaching mode just in my head. I was listening, but you automatically kind of you go into that. And I was listening, I was fully present. And then she asked me about what it is that I do when it comes to stress. And I told her. And by the end, we were in a breakout session a second time. And by the end of that, she said, "You really helped me today." She said, "You really helped me think out of the box." And I said, "Well, I'm glad to hear that. That's tremendous." And so I'm just going to stop there and see what your thoughts are on that.
I love how you were able to help her look outside of her box, because I think that is, for a lot of us, that is what happened. We are the only one in our own head, literally. Thank goodness. We are the only ones in our own head. And sometimes, damn it, we are the only one in our own head. So being able to get a perspective from somebody else, getting life experiences from other places, people that has experienced things differently. To our earlier point, Dr. Jacalyn, just being a day ahead and in a different season, right? Those small little things makes a big difference. I mean, I have friends that lives in Singapore. They literally don't have winter. The whole year is basically summer. Yes, they have times when the temperatures drop a little bit, and times when it's a little bit warmer, but typically they won't wear scarves and warm clothing because they don't need it. And for me, I'm sort of thinking, well, I will miss winter. As much as I'm not the biggest fan of winter, I'll miss it because it is a time of year for me where I can do a little bit more introspection and slow down just a little bit more. So I will miss that. And who knows what other boxes I might be missing because it's not in my head. So that's what's coming up for me as you share your story. And thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. I appreciate your comments on that. I do. I feel like when for the title, Thinking Beyond Limits, I used to put limits on myself, and I used to say, well, I can only do this or I can only do that. And now I don't have any limits, including my physicality in terms of exercise and working out and going for new goals. I don't limit myself and say, oh, well, you're 62, so you can only do this or you can only do that. I feel like with all the years of experience I have behind me, that I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And I'm much more loving and kind to myself than I have been in the past. And so I think to me, that's also thinking outside of the box, is loving yourself and finally embracing yourself instead of saying, well, this is wrong with me, that's wrong with me. And I'm the kind of person, if somebody would give me a compliment, I would immediately put myself down. If someone said, you look great, I'd be like, oh, I don't look great. This is wrong. That's wrong. And now I go, thanks. I agree. So I think it took all these years. And I think a lot of positive affirmations and meditation and doing the research and all the people that we've had on this platform. If we've got 8,100 shows so far, I mean, that's a lot of people who've been interviewed. And there's just a lot to learn.
I so agree with the learning and the growing, and we change over time, right? as you mentioned, there's one way that we thought when we were at a certain age, and then as we grow up and we get introduced to other people, other ideas, other concepts, our box change potentially, until hopefully we get to where you are now, Dr. Jacalyn, with no box. It's gone.
Well, I want to say this. What I want to say is that I think the reason I don't have a box is because I've been through a lot. I've got a chronic incurable disease, and I live with that every day. I think it's 35 years. Sometimes I feel like I'm having a party for myself. I'm still here. But that, and then taking care of my mother, and then losing my mother, and then retiring from corporate at the same time, and then building this business, it's just been amazing. And I feel like if I don't love myself now, if I don't appreciate myself now, when will I? Because obviously we have more life behind us than we do ahead of us, unless, you believe in reincarnation. But in this state, in this container, there is more behind than there is ahead. So I'm just enjoying every day, and I'm thinking outside of the box every single day, and I'm loving it.
And I think that is, well, for me in any case, my experience of life in general is typically that the only person or the only thing that holds me back is me. So my own choice of being in that box, putting myself in the box, right? Nobody else can put me in a box. They can try. They can have their opinions, and it's their opinions. It's not mine. I am the one that would enable myself or limit myself depending on where I want to be in relation to my box. And I think it's also a lot with, there's a piece of study around vertical development. Now, we all develop differently. So if you think about children developing, right, we have the terrible twos. And then we go into our teenage years. So we develop as we grow older. And guess what? We don't stop. It continues. It is a continuous process. We will develop and continue to change the way that we think and interact with life in general until the day we die. So as long as you are on this planet, from birth to death, it is a continuous process for us growing, and everybody goes through it. We all go through it, of course, at different rates, different paces. So it's always, for me, also interesting to see how I am developing and what's the new things that I might be perceiving or seeing. So currently for me in my space is really around looking at the connections of the connections, which is always fascinating. And to your point a little bit earlier on, Dr. Jacalyn, thinking about how I used to follow rules quite strictly. I think in school I was very much this is the wrong and this is the right, and they might be gray. I'm consciously aware of the fact that there's gray, but I didn't necessarily live it in the gray. I lived black and white. And as I grew older, I discovered that that's not the case. There is gray. And then there's gray inside of the gray, which it becomes mind-boggling. So who knows where the box might go? It might just disappear.
That's true. That's true. And I think also, when I think of the people whom I've really respected and admired who have passed on, there was a certain time in their life when they were very comfortable, that they were at peace. And I feel that way now myself. But if you had asked me 5 years ago or even before that, I couldn't imagine. And I just would think, I don't know, it doesn't actually happen. But I think when you do finally accept yourself and you do think out of the box and you're willing to try new things and walk through doors and take opportunities, that you do find a sense of peace. And as you know, I'm a peace ambassador. So I had my first peace training, and I'm going to a peace conference next week. And August is actually a lot of training with another peace entity. So it's going to be interesting. But it's kind of thinking beyond the limits can also mean beyond the limits of your emotional composure. So how can you take your emotions, accept them, validate them, and then find peace? So to me, I've had a long conversation with some people back and forth about religion and about God and about spirituality and about peace. And I'm doing research on it. I might even write a book about it. But to me, finding peace can come in a number of ways. Some people believe that it's specifically through your faith in God or in a higher power, that is the only way you can have peace. And other people believe you can find peace through affirmations, through meditation, through yoga, even anything that helps calm you inside. So I think there are all different types of understandings and beliefs when it comes around that. But to me, in order to think outside of the box, I believe there has to be some part of you that's at peace, so that you're not going through chaos and you're opening the door to think outside, if that makes sense.
It does. So what I am hearing and understanding from that is almost that ego quietness, so to speak. Because, well, and the reason I'm saying ego quietness is, I don't know about you, Dr. Jacalyn, but for me, when my ego gets up in my face, right, and it's not quiet, I do not feel a lot of peace. I don't. I judge myself. I judge circumstances. I judge other people. I do all sorts of things that's not very helpful. Whereas when that's quiet and I can accept just being, I am at peace. Life's just easy. Life then just becomes easy because it is what it is. Whatever shows up is the thing that needs to show up at that point in time. And I know that I will get through whatever it is that I need to get through, and so be it. And I think even as I say that, when I think about my ego coming in, then it starts to feel difficult, because now things needs to be figured out or perfect or whatever it is that my ego wants to attribute to it. And it doesn't really. So it's those limits that we can remove for ourselves, those rules that we make up, that's literally made up because we made them up. We made the belief, we made the rule, we made the thing that is keeping us in. And remembering that that's what we did gives us the freedom and the opportunity to then break the rule or just dissolve the rule into nothingness, because it doesn't need to be there. We can replace it with something else if so we choose, or we can replace it with nothing, depending on what it is that we feel like, and in whatever shape or form that might take for us, right? Because what we believe is true for us. So that's sort of where I'm at with what you said, Dr. Jacalyn.
Thank you for that. And I think there's an even deeper point that we can look into about ego. If you think about when our ego comes out and how it is that we manage it, it might change as time goes on, as we feel more confident in ourselves. And I'll give an example. I spent a long time of my career in corporate selling employee recognition programs, meetings and events for top performers, and points-based programs, do this, earn that. And when I started this platform, I really drew down on my experience, which was recognizing other people. And to me, that's a key point of being a human being is to celebrate people's successes and the things that they are achieving. And so many people on this platform have truly grown. I mean, sometimes I go back and watch one of the videos from the early on, which, we can do on YouTube. And it's like incredible how much growth there is. And so to me, it's, if I were in my ego, I would be taking everything and saying, oh, I did this and I did that. But it's not about me. It's about everyone else. And it's watching how everyone else has grown. That is such a beautiful thing. And for me, also thinking outside the box is, where are we going to take this platform so people can continue to celebrate growth? And I want to mention one other thing, and I'd love your thoughts on it. As you know, when I first started, when I met you, I had a radio show, and I also was on a television show at an in-person television network. And one of the entities told me that I couldn't be on both things. I had to pick. So I decided to keep the radio show, and I went out on my own. And I truly believe that each and every person who is on our team, which we're in 60 countries, and we have right now, I think we have 25 full-time TV show hosts, plus we have hundreds of elevated listeners and of course, all the guests. I want people to collaborate with as many people as they possibly can, look into doing as many projects with people, and they don't check in with me. Do your thing, meet people, build something, and celebrate it. And I've gotten flack from other people, business people, saying, you really should rein everyone in. I'm like, rein them in. I don't own anyone. I'm grateful that people are here. But what happened with me when I was told you can't be on the TV and you can't be in the radio at the same time? I say to people, go on as many things as you want to. To me, that's really thinking outside the box, but I'm thinking about people as humans. I want to celebrate everyone as a human. What are your thoughts on that?
Dr. Jacalyn, that is one of the reasons why I love this platform, and I love working with you, collaborating, doing all the things together that we do together, even though we have never physically been in the same space. We have done so many different things together. And to me, the philosophy that I have, or the thinking that I have behind it, and again, what we believe is true for us, right, is that all boats rise with a rising tide. So if we are all in this together, and I collaborate with Roland, or I collaborate with Red, or any one of the other team members, at some point, some of that will spill back into this space. Because not only am I enriching my own life, and I'm not only enriching that person's life, I'm also enriching our connection, our combined connection. And as I mentioned earlier, one of the things that I am really interested in is in the connections of connections. And one of the things that in science we know of is that as the observer, we both observe the thing and we impact it at the same time by observing it, right? The physical energy that we emit by putting our attention on something changes the thing. Our attention on it. We don't even need to do anything else. We just need to put attention on it. So if that much attention can impact a system, just imagine how much of an impact you have every single day in the system that you operate in. I mean, COVID was a horrible thing that happened to the planet, and a great example of just that. One person got sick, and it had a planetary effect. So you are never too small to have a big, huge effect and impact. And please step outside of your box and do that, because the more of us do that, the more of us will elevate, and that tide will keep on rising, which means all of us rise with it. That's the whole intention. Whereas Dr. Jacalyn, with your unfortunate and fortunate experience with the radio station, I think they did us a favor. I am very happy that they told you that you had to choose one, because if they didn't do that, we would not be here today.
Yeah, that's true. Just to correct, it was the TV station, not the radio station. So he stayed on the radio. So yeah, no, I agree. And by the way, that whole concept of thinking outside the box was really Roland Friedel, who's one of our team members. He's really brought that to light in so many ways. He was living on the island of Mallorca. I think he was there for 14 years. And he decided to pack up and go into his RV and just start to travel through Europe. And it's been 3 years now that he's been living out of his RV on the road in Europe, which is pretty cool.
It is. It is the ultimate way to travel and live. He's living like, just imagine. It's almost like a tortoise. There you go. I can remember the Afrikaans for it, but not the English. My brain sometimes struggles with translations. It's like a tortoise. He's carrying his home on his back. Well, not literally. He's just driving around with his home.
Absolutely. So he's completely changed the way that he works. I mean, he also has, I think his Instagram is Wireless Life Rocks. And so he's been able to not only see different countries and different places and meet different people, but he works from his RV. And when he has to fly to appointments, he flies to appointments. So when I met him in Vienna, I think he had to drive 10 hours and he left his RV at an RV campsite or wherever it is, because you can't just drive around anywhere with them because, you know, they're so big. But he's found a way to make it work. And if you think about it, no physical address for mail. And you're on the road, and there may or may not be Wi-Fi, and he does a great job with it. So he's really a super example if anyone's interested in thinking about out of the box and living in an RV. You can contact Roland Friedel. So when you think about the next steps that you would like to take that would be really knocking your box way out of the ballpark, what would they be, one or two of them?
Ooh, what would they be? That is such a good question, Dr. Jacalyn. You are finding me having to think about this. What would they be? I think things that I am working on at the moment is really stepping into creating that stability. So two of the things that I really appreciate in life is, one is innovation, and the other one is a sense of sustainability, right? So I don't want to innovate just for the fact of innovating. I want to make sure that it also creates something that is sustainable over a long period of time. And I've worked with a Japanese team this year. And one of the things that they think about within their cultural space in general is 100 years out. And I've been slowly but surely thinking about what that would be for me in my space. What is it that I am creating that might be 100 years out, right? It's almost like planting a seed now. I might not see the full tree. I might not experience all of its brilliance, but I'm starting with the work right now so that everybody, this whole system of ours, can experience that. So that's some of the things that, and it's not well defined, I know. It's still in its infancy. It's still being developed. But that's some of the things that I think about when you ask me that specific question. And I know that you have so many different things that you are doing, and it sounds like yet another book has been birthed through our conversation today, in all potentiality. So what is it that you are working on?
Well, thanks for sharing that. And yeah, just to think outside the box, I'm going to be having a small hardback book that is about listening and affirmations. And I think when I go to speak at places, or we're having a retreat that's coming up, I think I'll just be giving the book out maybe as a calling card. And inside the book, I plan on having maybe a laminated sheet. I don't know how I would do it, or something people can rip out and put on the refrigerator. But it's really listening to yourself, listening to your intuition, and then giving yourself affirmations that really help empower you to be a better listener. So that's what I'm thinking about. And I think I'll be doing it. That's what I think I'll be doing.
I love the potentially being able to put it on your fridge or somewhere where you can see it often. I really, for some odd reason, a magnet popped into my head.
Yeah, that's a great idea too, a magnet.
So yes, that would be so much fun and something that we can interact with, right? To increase and improve the way that we listen every day. Just imagine all the wonderful relationships that we will have in the world.
And there'll be more peace. That's what I believe. I know some people don't believe that because they believe it's about your religious affiliation, and I respect that. I am not an expert when it comes to religion, so therefore I cannot be teaching that, but I can teach about listening skills. And after I get the really comprehensive training that should be finished by next month, I have an opportunity to actually fly to Africa to get my certification. But I don't know that I'll be able to do that based on everything else that's going on. But it's interesting. It's a wonderful opportunity. And, something else that I'll share with you as we're coming to the end of the show. When I decided to go to London the last 2 times, I really manifested it. I had no idea I was going to do it. I just put it out to the universe and I said, you know what, I'm going there. And now I'm going again. And I said to myself, you are going. And so I'm going there. I'm going to Dubai. So it's pretty exciting. But I do believe in manifestations. So I think also when you're thinking about outside the box, what is it that you want for yourself? And then put it out there. Say, this is what I want. Envision yourself already there. So that's what I did when I wanted to go to London. I can see myself in London now because I've already been there. I can see myself running for the tube, and I can see myself getting the train and going to Green Park. And so therefore I made it happen. And that's what I'd like to leave people with today, that thinking outside of the box means you are committed to something greater, something that you want. And it's not a dream. It's an actionable agenda that you have, that you're going to make it happen. And regardless of what someone else says and what happens along the way, I have a business arrangement with another company. I'm not going to say who it is, but unfortunately I have to get a law firm involved because they're not doing what they said they were going to do. I've given them every opportunity, but that's not holding me back. I'm still moving forward. I'm looking for someone else to do what they were supposed to do, and I already found them. So we'll see how that goes. And it's just a matter of, I think, just moving forward and looking at opportunities as a genuine opportunity. And if it's something that you failed at, that's a learning opportunity. There's still opportunities.
Yes, I think that's part of that box, right? We keep ourselves in the box because we think it's safe. We think it's a place where we won't experience fear. And then the box's sides collapse. And then we do have fear in any case. So we can just as well step outside of it and do it on our own terms. So I love what you shared, Dr. Jacalyn. Push those boundaries, push yourself outside of your box, see what is possible out there. And remember that observation of scientists, that our intention, the attention that we give the thing already changes it. So as Dr. Jacalyn said, manifestation is really it is putting attention on something specific. And by putting attention on it, we are already changing it. And it also drives us more towards getting that thing into our life because we are now moving towards it and making things happen to get there. So Dr. Jacalyn, I am very excited to hear all about your next trip where you will be running around London. I'm seeing you running around in your very bedazzled shoes all over the place.
My bedazzled shoes are now sneakers. I'm not wearing heels anymore to run around. That ship has sailed. But it's time for us to close out, unfortunately. So what's the best way for people to reach you, Mariska, and who would you like to contact you?
So best way to reach me is you can either email me at Mariska, Mariska, at journey2discover.com. Or alternatively, you can also find me on LinkedIn. So there you can just connect and we can start our conversation. Of course, you can also get hold of me via my web page, which is journey2, again, the number 2, discover.com, as Dr. Jacalyn is showing it there on the screen. So that's the places where you can get hold of me, email, website, or alternatively on LinkedIn. And this is, of course, for anybody thinking about stepping into leadership. Maybe you are early within your leadership journey, or if you are stepping up in your leadership journey and you want to try and figure out how to bring more of your humanness into that space. And of course, if you think about anything that you are struggling with that is creating some sleepless nights, that would also be a good topic to bring to any coaching conversation.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. It's great having you here. And we'll say goodbye for now, Mariska. Bye-bye.
For now.
Bye. Thank you, everyone, and everyone at E360 TV. We really appreciate you being here. We do have just a couple of things coming up that I'd like to mention briefly. We have our retreat, The Art of Listening and the Elegance of Etiquette retreat. I'm hosting this retreat with Mr. Philip Sykes. He is going to be teaching about social etiquette skills, and I'm teaching about setting boundaries with judgment. And we will be having a networking session, a private dinner, and there's also an afternoon tea, the history of tea, and we'll be going to an English tea house, and I'm actually doing a site inspection for this Sunday. Yay. And of course, my newest book is coming out soon, Lady Ellen, Lord Jack's Kindness Adventures, Spreading Kindness One Adventure at a Time. You can get that over on Amazon. Soon it'll be available in bookstores as well. And that's all for now. So I'm going to say goodbye, and I'm going to run one of our clips, which is for our merchandise. We just had a great show earlier today, and the guests went and bought a t-shirt, which is, I've been a guest on USA Global TV and Radio. So don't be a stranger. We would love you to rep our brand all over the world. Take a picture of yourself, and we'll put it on our website. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Get ready to wear the brand that's changing the world of media. Introducing the official USA Global TV and Radio online store. From our TV show hosts to our incredible global guests, you asked, we delivered. Rep your appearance with pride. Whether you've been on air, hosted a show, or tuned in, we have something just for you. Visit us at usaglobaltvradioshoп.myspreadshop.com and start shopping today. Check back frequently. We're dropping fresh new designs all the time. Showcase your role in our global community. These designs celebrate your voice, your story, your presence. It's more than just merchandise. It's a movement of hope, inspiration, education, and elevated listening. Head to usaglobaltvradioshoп.myspreadshop.com. Your spotlight awaits. USA Global TV and Radio. Elevate your style. Elevate the world.
From the magical world of the amazing adventures of Lady Ella comes a heartwarming new journey filled with kindness, courage, and compassion. Lady Ella, the beloved ladybug and listening mentor, is back, and this time she is not alone. Meet her brave and thoughtful brother, Lord Jack. Together, they take flight on their very first kindness adventure. Along the way, they meet 3 new friends in need: a duck feeling discouraged, a mouse struggling to be understood, and a busy little bee who's completely lost. But with the power of elevated listening and simple acts of kindness, Lady Ella and Lord Jack show us how understanding and empathy can make the biggest difference in someone's day. Written by Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, the listening mentor, this 9th book in the best-selling Lady Ella series teaches children ages 5 to 10 the essential skills of listening, kindness, and etiquette. Now available for pre-order on Amazon. Scan the QR code and order your copy today.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dies. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.